But how should the government balance its budget? That is a tough question because it is a tough job to do, especially when Congress is very divided on this issue. And when I say that the federal government can't, afford a recession this year or next year, I really mean it. The debt level, and some people in my comment section, they even try to justify like, oh, debt is a good thing for the economy. Okay, in an expansion stage, maybe, right? But we've been operating at a deficit for how many years? We were at war and all that. We were spending money, cutting the budget now, but the deficit is still there, right? The debt level is at an all-time high. And a recession would just add more debt to it, and that would be extremely terrible. And I want to show you this. So you can go to, this is a public website. You can go to fiscaldata.treasury.gov and take a look at what the government revenue and government spending is. So when the total government revenue was 4.4 trillion in 2023, if they spent 4.4 trillion would be a balanced budget, right? But they spent 6.13 trillion, which is a deficit. And when they borrowed almost $2 trillion to spend more, not only did the government spend money on programs and services, but they had to pay interest incurred from borrowing, right? It's the same concept. You borrow money, there's going to be interest. It doesn't matter who you are. Even the US government has to pay back that interest. Is the government serious about paying off the debt? It doesn't seem like it, not to me anyway, because the first step they have to do is tackle the budget by balancing it and then eventually put it in a surplus budget. A surplus budget would be something like bringing in $5 trillion and spending 4.5 trillion with $500 billion in surplus. That makes sense so far, right? That surplus of 500 billion annually would take the government 68 years to repay the debt. So instead, it looks like the government is looking to use inflation to make the debt cheaper over time. And borrowing money would increase the interest payments even more over time, right? The grossing interest payment in 2023, that was about $880 billion, which included, $10 billion in tax refund interest. And check this out. In 2024, the Congressional Budget Office, or CBO, is projecting the US government to pay like $12.5 trillion in interest over the next decade, which is the highest amount in any 10-year period. In 2024, the total interest payments are, I said 870 billion. In 2025, it is 951 billion. And then by 2034, it's going to be about $1.6 trillion just in interest payments. That's going to be more than the current defense budget in 2024. By the way, did you know that over 50% of Americans who make over $100,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck? So is it always an income problem or a spending problem? If you're having trouble figuring out your budget, I encourage you to download a budgeting app called YNAB. YNAB stands for You Need a Budget. That's right. Whether you make $50,000 a year or $300,000 a year, every one of you needs to create a budget to achieve financial independence. You need to give every dollar a job so that you can be more intentional with your savings and spending. You can get a free trial without any credit card information by using the link in the description below. Also keep in mind, there's something else that the news is not really talking about right now, and it's coming up pretty soon, and that is the suspension for the debt ceiling, and it's stopping on January 1st, 2025. All the news coverage is about the election right now. If Congress still can't be on the same page by then, the Treasury Department will still have about 3 months to cut their spending and keep paying their debt and keep some of the lights on. Defaulting on their debt would have a devastating consequence for our economy. So I'll just say that Congress has a very tough job to do, but at some point, they have to make some tough decisions to make this happen. Are they going to cut Social Security? Probably not, right? And many Americans are tired of their tax dollars being spent overseas. That is the truth. And I, did the survey and I read every comment. Believe it or not, I do. I just don't reply to them. But is cutting foreign aid going to balance our budget? No, of course not, right? But I think we still have a hangover from wars in the Middle East, and the American people are just tired of not investing enough in the country itself. And that's what this election is going to be about mostly, I'm sure. And besides taxes, right? Politicians from the Republicans or Democrats, they can't cut Social Security or Medicare because they know if they did that, they're going to get voted out of office. And out of the 68 million Americans who receive Social Security benefits, about half of them rely heavily on the Social Security retirement income. So taking away the benefits would put them in poverty, if not worse. And defaulting on debt would devastate the global economy and market because it would be a big hit to the US's reputation to the creditors. The one before last time we had to deal with the debt ceiling crisis in 2011 was when S&P downgraded the long-term credit rating from AAA, which represents a risk-free rating, to AA plus in 2011. Do you remember what the market did? Did not react well. Fitch also downgraded the US credit rating from AAA to AA plus on August something 2023. And everybody with common sense knows that spending and debt right now is unsustainable. We're still in a high interest economy, so the interest payments are going to be high until the Fed cuts interest rates. No one in the major news network is talking about the debt ceiling right now, but it's going to be brought up again in January 2025 if Congress can't decide what to do. The Republicans and Biden reached that fiscal deal back in 2023. They suspended the debt limit until January 2025. The news coverage right now is all about the election and the geopolitical tensions. But like I said, unless they're willing to make some dramatic cuts in their budget, they're not going to be able to balance it. Let me know in the comment section down below how you would balance the budget. Do we cut Social Security? Do we cut Medicare? Do we need to cut national defense spending? Do we need to cut something else, right? Thanks for the question. I'm just glad that I'm not an elected official.